Hello, just wanted to show you a few images that I thought might inspire you to go a little bit beyond the way that we have been responding to the human figure. Now, this is a figure drawing class, right? And it is perfectly fine to respond to the human figure with drawing for this assignment. If you want to do a pencil or charcoal drawing, that's great. But if you feel like you'd like to push out to a new medium for this, wanted to give you some ideas. I'm going to show you a couple pieces by Gustav Klimt, an artist from the early part of the 20th century. His paintings, and these are oil paintings, to me look very much as if they could be collages or even mosaics. And if you want to use paint for this assignment, you are so welcome to do it. But if you wanted to use pieces of fabric or use yarn or use buttons to create patterns and fit the human figure in almost like puzzle pieces, the way that Klimt has fit these young women together in here. That's great. This is a very well-known portrait of his, and of course the only part that looks like a conventional portrait is the face, the bust, the hands. Everything else has been filled with gorgeous pattern. Speaking of pattern, this is a literal collage by Fred Tomaselli, and it looks to me as if he probably used found images. I can imagine all these little hands maybe being cut out of magazines and all these little butterflies and so forth. If you want to assemble your own image out of images that you find, that's great. If you want to find a bunch of scrap paper and put it together to create an image, I just love the work of this Ugandan artist. I think he actually lived and worked in South Africa, but he was from Uganda. He unfortunately died quite young. Benon Lutaya, wonderful, wonderful, very impressionistic, almost pointillistic portraits made from collage of scrap materials. Here's another artist who likes to work with collage, Derek Gores, and I'll show you a couple of pieces of his. He's got images within images. So in this response to this human figure, this woman with a paper airplane, you also see other figures in the background and layered into her, her hand, her shoulder, her eyes, right? Another beautiful collage by Derek Gores. And again, the content of his collage material is really fun. If you look at this, you'll see a lot of funny words that are hidden in these labels and advertisements. And it looks like maybe magazine advertising or something that he has torn and cut to create this figure. Here's a piece by Jane Maxwell on a wooden panel. And I'm thinking that some of you may have wooden panels lying around in your garage. It might be fun to try stenciling, or to take a figure drawing that you've done and try outlining it with paint, or spray painting over it, or repeating it, Xeroxing it and cutting it out. So lots and lots of ways that you might use this idea of a repeated image just from drawings that you have already done. David Hockney is a very, very inspiring draftsman, beautiful draftsman, wonderful painter. Later in his career, he did a lot of work with the camera, and these two collages, I'm not exactly sure what to call them, these images, they're made up of photographs that he took himself. And here's another one. Nathan Swimming, this one is called, and you see a lot of repetition of images. There's no effort to conceal the fact that these are broken pieces that have been put together just in a simple grid, and yet they really give that feeling of the flickering light on the water and the way that water breaks up those images as we watch the moving swimmer. And finally, I just wanted to show you some full-on, plain old, great oil painting, oil portraits by Alice Neel, one of my favorite artists. These are paintings, of course, but I know that a lot of you have painted and may be itching to respond to the human figure with some paint. And I can easily imagine you getting someone to sit for you at home. This Phil Bard looks as if he were very skeptical about what Alice Neel was doing. Wonderful expression on his face. Look at the way the hands have been painted so rapidly that she was able to catch that funny way he had his hand cocked. These are all painted very, very rapidly and gesturally, and I think that's one way that Neel was able to get this fantastic feeling of momentary emotion and expression and tension in her models. And one last painting of these two little boys that just a favorite of mine. And again, look at the hands, the way they're painted so simply without a whole lot of attention to anatomy and that sort of thing, but so expressive. And the faces, of course, are heartbreakingly beautiful. So I hope these things inspire you, and I hope you find a way to look at the human figure and make some kind of personal response with this assignment. Have fun.